Okay. Welcome back to Metal Heroes Review, episode 103. Well, with this one, I'm giving my final thoughts on the Showa era for Metal Heroes. Yep, all done. It took a while, but I'm finally putting this era to rest, which means that the only of the four major tokusatsu franchises I'm working on, the only one still in the Showa era is Ultra. Yeah, that's the only one left. First one was Sentai, obviously, then it was Kamen Rider, now this one. I think it's awesome, the fact they put this behind me. But what do you think overall of the Showa era? Well, I think it was quite interesting. It was very experimental. It's like, you watch the first two, it seems like they threw a lot of money at the show. And it shows that they spent a lot of money on this show and did a really good job with it. Now in the case of Schneider, that one felt a bit cheap. It felt as though like they decided to not give much money for that one, but then they kind of gave the money a little bit to Jaspion for most of the show, except for like the last quarter of the show. But Towler, I don't think they required that much special effects, like that much money to spend on it, because I don't think they ran out of money after like build up so many monsters in that one. But Spillball was definitely a good show. I love the music for the show. The character was really cool. Of course, Marco Song was basically one of the best things for the show. But in the order basically I covered for the show era, I covered the 3 Space Sheriff series first, which was obvious. That was the plan. I was going to cover that. I was definitely going to cover Jaspion and Metallica. I would initially not going to cover the rest. I was thinking, like, okay, I was going to cover the rest. I was going to be done. But no, I decided to cover... okay, maybe I can do up the Drive, because Drive looked interesting. I was going to throw in... I was definitely going to do Spillball. That was definitely planned, because that was for VR Troopers. But the Hayseer, I was not going to. Then I realized, why not? Though I was not going to cover the last 2 anyways. So the order, basically, like I mentioned, I covered like the 3 Space Sheriff series, Battalion, Spillbond, Jaspion, and then finally Jiraiya. That's the order I covered. I didn't cover the series in airing order per se. I did, well, Space Sheriff, I needed to do that because that's the trilogy for that one. I didn't want to do it out of order. But the other ones felt like very much standalone. Yes. Also, I gotta admit, though, that Spillball was the last one to feature a spaceship. Yeah, the last one to feature where the main character operates of a spaceship. Because Metallica in this one, there's no spaceship. A lot of the fighting is on outside. Like, in, like, quarries and, like, in the forest, whatever. That's kind of what the show, that's what the last couple shows were doing. But I kind of felt this though with this one, it's like they were paying respect to the previous shows, or bringing back the previous actors, well, a few of them anyways. I thought the mecha that they brought back, like, having a mecha was something that Jaspion experimented like that used to be a big hit. No, it was not. Not in Japan mostly. Apparently it was big in Brazil, that one. So Brazil basically really a sequel that lasted over 100 episodes, which is kind of interesting. Yes. Yeah, so if you think about it, I've covered most of all the major tokusatsu ninja stuff. Except for Ninja. That's the only one I've still not covered yet. But the plan was initially put the cover of this show first. Then when I get to Ninja, that's all not a surprise. Like, who the heck is this guy? Yeah, I don't want to feel that at all. Yeah. Though, of course, basically... few of the characters will return after this, but with completely different actors. Jiraiya, of course, basically appeared, like I said, in Ninja, and he also appeared in the Space Squad versus Kyuranger movie, except it wasn't this guy. They replaced him with a completely different Jiraiya. For some reason, not sure why, but they did. Despot was back. Apparently, he didn't recognize Jiraiya. And later found out that the reason why he didn't recognize it because he was a reincarnation. Well, he's basically reborn anyways. Because he freaking died. Yes. As for the Benefit Ninja, well, great to see her, except that it was not the same actress. And clearly wasn't the same character because, yes, they brought back this very character for the first Space Squad movie, which was Gav versus Decker Ranger, which is awesome, by the way. But not the same actress. It's a completely different character. Because the one appeared there was no mention like, oh yeah, the daughter of this one, whatever. It's like, this guy. It's like, yeah, the one appeared in that movie, completely different character. Yeah. Though I tend to wonder, though, like, why would they bring back the Space Ninja for the movie? Like, the one thing I particularly didn't like about Q Ranger, the movie, was that, okay, so they brought back the Space Ninja, Dermast, and, like, yeah, they gave a new look, obviously, and, of course, new actor, but the problem was, it felt as though, basically, with him, he apparently did recognize Jiraiya, despite the fact that was his freaking foe. Yes, he fought him, but did he remember him? Oh, heck no. That's what it seemed like anyways. Yes. But in the case of the Gav Ranger's Decker Ranger, yeah. The one appears here is Benkaba is basically a modern version of the character, but not the same one. Because she is wearing a mask, but gotta admit, the actress who plays it was very pretty. Yes. Yeah, she's like about a year older than me. But in the case of basically overall for Showa, it's like I like the fact that two of the first two Metal Heroes characters that they do come back. Shervan, of course, he couldn't because he passed away in 01. Jaspion, he did come back for the, of course, obviously for Gavin vs. Decker Ranger. Spellbond can come back because he was written in a different timeline. Metallider seemed like he was planning to come back, but he never did. But what about Jiraiya? Oh yeah, he returned once in episode 900. Yeah, but as for the supporting cast, a lot of whom don't show up again. And I do mean a lot of them. Though yes, they did bring the captain from Gavin. He comes back, of course, in the next Space Sheriff series, pops up in the very first Gav movie. But after that character's done. And the reason is because the actor passed away. But it seems as though when it comes to, like, okay, so the Space movies pay a lot of respect for the Space Squad stuff, the Space Sheriff stuff, for Jaspion. I would say a little bit for Jiraiya, mostly for the first one. Second one felt like basically like, it's like Deathspawn didn't really need to be a main villain. It could be any other character. I get the fact those movies were basically supposed to be like a big crossover between Metal Heroes and Super Sentai, but like they never did anything with it afterwards. Yes, that's how they put it in. I thought it was interesting though they brought back Matt Gal, who was a villain from Jaspion, and brought Bakuba, who was a villain from this show. Yes. But yeah, the show era was definitely interesting when it comes to Metal Heroes. Would I recommend it? Yes, definitely. Mostly put just to check out some stuff. Now, Jaspion was on Crunchyroll, but not anymore. For some reason, they took it off. Do not know what happened with it. Either run out license expired, I don't know. So, can you find any of the Showa and Metal Heroes on Blu-ray here in the United States? Yes. Yes. the Space Hero Trilogy, that's our release here. Showa was the most recent one released here. Okay, what about Jaspion? Yes. That one you actually can find here. Yeah, I believe this was done by Dislike Media, I think it was. Yeah, they're the one who released it here. They released under they released under Space Wolf originally, and then it was changed to Metal Beast Investigator Jaspion. Yes, so yeah, that's released here. Okay, what about Spillbond? Does that have American release? Shockingly, no. It does not have. Let's see. Yeah, there's not official release here. How about Metalder? No. Not even Jiraiya. Yeah, neither of these two basically got. So, overall, of the first 7, at least about only the first 4 have been released here. Yeah, the last 3 have not yet. For Spielbond and Metalder, some people could theorize because of VR Troopers, but Showa was released here, and that was used for VR Troopers. But I'll have this is going to do with that. But Jiraiya, I'm not sure why there's not released here. Like, there's nothing holding back. It wasn't used for VR Troopers. You would think maybe they would have loved to use it because he did show up for Power Rangers. Ninja Storm. Oh, excuse me, Ninja Storm. Ninja Steel. Like, he showed for that for a single episode as Chef Skyfire. But as for if they will release it here, I don't know. It depends. But after my anime, I will be starting this. Yep. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. Please like, comment, subscribe, notifications. Next up, the Apothecary Diaries. Okay, next video. Bye.